All right, the tourism FAFOs have already started. Look at who is begging for tourists, begging for Canadians to come back to their red state. The red state of Minnesota is begging Canadian tourists, which make up 50% of their tourists, to please come back to Minnesota. The only problem is, if you see this post and any other travel posts that I have done, they are boycotting the United States because they have been treated like crap. They have been told that they're going to be the 51st state. We have no trade deal with them. They used to be our closest ally, and all because of one person. We are predicted to lose $49.5 billion in trade in the United States alone in 2025. So this is an FAFO, and Minnesota is now begging, 6 months in to Donald Trump's administration of wrecking the economy and wrecking relationships. They are now begging for their tourists to come back. And I can tell you right now, my Canadian friends are going to answer, there's no way in hell they're coming back to the United States until that ass clown is out of office. This is going to cost the United States of America so much money just in tourism.
It's not the tariffs that are affecting them so much as the hurt pride in Canadian citizenry. And boy, I understand that. And we are doing our best to promote our state, of course, and marketing tools and setting up signs at the 13 different border crossings that say, Bienvenue Canadien, and please come, and all those things. We cherish our relationships.
Would you encourage Canadians to come to America, spend dollars here this summer as tourists, or should they send a message to President Trump?
I can't tell Canadians to come visit the U.S. right now. I'm going to tell them to go and see my neighbors in Nova Scotia. I'm going to tell them to spend some time at home because the relationship has been challenged by leadership, that when an American loses their job in tourism, that's going to have a ripple effect. But we need a certain person to hear that this is hurting jobs for Americans and hurting their economy. And so we've got to ask the American tourism workers to make that clear and to speak up. You got to make noise.
36% of Canadians who had planned a trip to the USA have already canceled their trip. This is making their bookings down by 70%. Let me tell you how much just Canadians alone spend in the U.S. in 2024. Look at this number. This is just one group of citizens boycotting their trips to the USA because of Trump. This is an ongoing number. It is only July 25th. It has gotten progressively worse every single month. Did you know that tourism is expected to lose approximately $29 billion just for the year 2025? A lot of tourists are citing, quote, they will not come here until he is out of office, end quote. That could be a devastating, catastrophic loss for the next 3.5 years. Did you know that we are being boycotted by every country in the world? Drop your comments and questions below.
Hey, Echo Room fam, before we dive in, I hope you guys are all doing well. Thank you for your love and support towards this channel. And I hope you guys are all mentally okay. I hope so, because what we're about to get into is another episode of America Faffled and now wants help. Much respect to the originators and stitchers whose videos are the heartbeat of today's commentary. Y'all are the ones holding the line. All right, let's get into it.
Stunning images of near-empty passenger planes are popping up on social media. These international flights have many tourists flying to the USA practically alone. This flight from Toronto to New York is also practically empty. And a flight from Toronto to Fort Myers, row after row of empty seats.
America's tourist problem isn't coming, it's here. And the world is responding with its wallets. For decades, the United States didn't just attract visitors, it attracted dreams. That magnetic pull, the one that filled planes from Tokyo to London, from Sydney to Sao Paulo, is failing. Not slowly, not quietly, but in real time, with consequences nobody in Washington seems to grasp yet. Here's what makes this crisis unprecedented. The United States is now the only major economy among 184 countries forecast to experience declining international visitor spending in 2025. Let that sink in. Every other major destination is growing. America is shrinking. The numbers paint a catastrophic picture. After recovering to 72.4 million international visitors in 2024, almost back to pre-pandemic levels, everything reversed. March 2025 saw arrivals plummet 14% year over year. Western Europe, our biggest spender market, dropped 17.2%. Germany alone fell 28%. The projection? A $12.5 billion loss in visitor spending this year. That's not a recession. That's a collapse. But it gets worse. For the first time in years, the U.S. is facing a massive $50 billion travel trade deficit. That means not only is the world not coming here, but Americans are taking their money and spending it overseas at a record pace.
But statistics only tell half the story. The human cost reveals the real crisis.
Take Jessica Brosche, a 29-year-old German tattoo artist with valid tourist authorization and a return ticket. Border agents detained her for 45 days. Not hours, not overnight, 45 days. 8 of those in solitary confinement at Otay Mesa Detention Center. Her crime? Traveling to America while having tattoos and an alternative appearance. Lucas Seeloff's story is equally disturbing. This 25-year-old German tourist was grabbed at the border after visiting Mexico, still 22 days inside his legal 90-day permit. A language barrier led to confusion during questioning. The result? 16 days in detention. His family scrambled to pay $2,744 for his deportation flight. The message to his friends back home? Skip America. Then there's Fabian Schmidt. Here's where it gets truly insane. Schmidt isn't even a tourist. He's a permanent resident with a valid green card, detained at Boston Logan, held at Wyatt Detention Center in Rhode Island. A legal resident, treated like a criminal at the airport he's used for years. The casualties mount daily. Rebecca Burke, a 28-year-old Welsh backpacker, 19 days detained in Washington state. Jasmine Mooney, a Canadian actress renewing her work visa, 12 days locked up. 2 German teenagers landing in Hawaii for vacation, deported immediately because they hadn't booked every single night's accommodation in advance. Immigration attorney Stephen Yale Laird dropped a bombshell that explains everything. CBP has been much more vigilant, reviewing everyone's credentials since Trump took office. Translation? This isn't random. It's systematic. Pedro Rios, who's worked the border for 22 years, told the Associated Press something that should terrify every American business dependent on tourism. I've never seen travelers from Western Europe and Canada, longtime U.S. allies, locked up like this.
The airline industry isn't waiting for diplomatic solutions. They're fleeing. Play Airlines announced the nuclear option, complete U.S. market exit by October 2025. Every route canceled. Stewart, Boston Logan, Baltimore Washington International, all abandoned. Their CEO's explanation was brutally honest. The North American market was less successful. Translation? Their customers don't want to risk American detention. Condor Airlines eliminated 6 North American routes overnight. Baltimore, Minneapolis, Phoenix, San Antonio, gone. The German federal court ruling that killed their feeder traffic was just the excuse. The real reason? German tourists aren't booking America anymore. WestJet's numbers are apocalyptic. 9 U.S. routes suspended, bookings down 70% through September 2025. Their executives explicitly blamed U.S. President Donald Trump's trade tariffs and the resulting collapse in Canadian travel demand. When airlines start naming presidents in their route cancellation announcements, you know it's personal. Air Canada followed suit. 5 cross-border routes axed for winter 2025-26. Toronto-Detroit, dead. Montreal-Indianapolis, gone. These aren't far-flung destinations. These are neighbor cities, connected for generations, now severed. The European exodus accelerates weekly. KLM, cutting routes. British Airways, reducing capacity. Air France, pulling back. Lufthansa, restructuring away from America. Norse Atlantic tells the most damning story. They've eliminated half of the 24 U.S. routes they launched since 2022. 50% failure rate in 3 years.
It's called a visa integrity fee, and it costs $250. It's for anyone visiting the United States that needs a visa, so not part of the visa waiver program or the ESTAs. Most European visitors won't need it, but there'll be large numbers of students and from other countries where you still need a visa to visit the United States for leisure or business, and now you got to stump up $250. But what is this fee for? Think of it as being almost a good behavior deposit. According to the government, if you are good and you don't break the rules and you leave on time, you'll get the money back. The only problem is there's no mechanism in place. No one knows how it's going to work. So you'll pay your $250, you'll visit the US, you'll go home, and no one can tell you how you get your money back. This is all very unwelcome for the US tourism industry for one simple reason. Numbers are already lower because the perception is the United States is not very welcoming at the moment because of everything to do with immigration, tourists, difficulties at airports, border controls. Now, if you add in a $250 fee to come and visit the United States, well, many of the 11 million visas each year, you've got to ask, how many simply won't bother coming?
Donald Trump for causing the Canadians to boycott travel to the United States. How do I know they're going to be boycotting the travel of the United States? Well, let's look what Air Canada and the Financial Times said. Air Canada is to reduce their capacity to the United States as demand has shifted among the threat of the Trump tariffs. Listen to that again. Air Canada is now shifting the number of flights they're flying into the United States because of a shift in demand by Canadians. They're not coming. They're not going to come. And so Air Canada is redeploying its aircraft to fly to other cities and other locations around the world that they want to go to. They don't want to go to the United States. If you look at my post on my TikTok, you'll see that they're saying that one after hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands. I actually had about 11,000 people commented yesterday on it, and they're not coming to the United States. Thank you, Donald Trump. So if you work in the travel or tourism industry in the United States and you used to have a lot of Canadian guests, guess what? Starting March, they're expecting this to drop off significantly because Air Canada is reducing the flights to the United States. If they were making money on the flight...
Welcome back, fam. Minnesota is begging. Yes, Minnesota. But let's zoom out. So, Minnesota, a proudly red-leaning state lately, is officially begging Canadians to come back. Not inviting, not suggesting, not marketing, begging. Why? Because Canadian tourists make up over 50% of their visitor economy. And guess what? They are not coming anymore. And it's not because of the weather. It's not because of airfare. It's because Canadians, as many TikTokers have said, no longer feel welcome in the United States. Let's keep it 100. This is not some mysterious tourism downturn. It's cause and effect. Minnesota helped build a platform for xenophobia, for MAGA extremism, for Trump-era trade hostility, and now the international community is responding the only way they can, with their wallet. FAFO Economics 101. You can't cut hate and expect hospitality. This is what FAFO actually looks like in the global economy. The US is now being boycotted by regular Canadian citizens who once considered America their backyard playground. Now, they are seeing a nation that treats them like suspects at the border, that mocks them politically, and that literally suggested Canada become the 51st state. Let that sink in. You can't posture like the global schoolyard bully and then be confused when your closest neighbor says, "We are good, we are staying home." And guess what? It's not just moral disgust, it's economic strategy. Air Canada, one of the biggest tourism lifelines between Canada and the US, is cutting flight to the United States. Not because they hate America, but because Canadians aren't buying tickets anymore. They are redeploying those planes to other countries, to Europe, to Asia, anywhere but America. Tourism is collapsing because America isn't welcoming. Let's not play games. The United States has a perception problem. Between racist immigration rhetoric, airport chaos, hostile custom agents, and now this $250 visa integrity fee, foreign visitors feel like they are being penalized just for wanting to spend money in the US. As CNN's Richard Quest pointed out, this new visa fee works like a good behavior deposit. You pay $250 upfront, and supposedly, if you behave and leave on time, you get it back. Except, no one knows how you get it back. So visitors are thinking, why deal with this at all? Why risk racist treatment at the border, red tape, and financial penalties just to go to Florida or Texas or even Minneapolis when I can go to Spain, Greece, or literally anywhere else that values my presence? And that's not even mentioning the creeping normalization of child labor in red state, turning the US into a dystopia rather than a destination. This is not just a Minnesota problem, it's an America problem. And it was created by a faction of the country that thought isolationism, xenophobia were good political platforms. Red State rallied behind Trump's first term, despite his administration costing 100,000 farms and billions in tariffs. Now the same crew is back in power 6 months in, and already $49.5 billion in trade is projected to evaporate by 2025. This isn't just a boycott, it's a course correction. People don't want to go where they are not welcome. And if MAGA states want the world's respect and money, they are going to have to reconcile with the cost of their politics. Because, Minnesota, you voted for this, and now you are begging. To those in the travel and tourism industry, especially in red state, we see you. We know many of you are just trying to run your small businesses, keep your hotels open, and provide experiences to guests. But some of y'all cheered when Trump talked about tariffs. Some of y'all clapped when he vilified your own neighbors. Some of y'all said nothing when it became harder for people to even get through US customs with dignity. Now, the economy you depend on is evaporating. Actions have consequences, and the world is watching, and the world is booking flights elsewhere. Echorum fam, if this commentary hit home, let us know in the comments. What are you seeing where you live? Is tourism drying up in your area too? Shout out again to the stitch creators and originators who laid the foundation for this commentary. Y'all are the real ones. Stay sharp, stay grounded, stay loud. From Echo Room Vibes, peace out.